This single virgin loser is Ryu, our protagonist. His life is a total disaster. First, he gets bullied and beaten up daily. And if that's not enough, his little brother one day got bullied so badly that they made his little brother blind with multiple fractures. And if this was not enough, their parents also died in a car accident. But wait, there is more. One day on Christmas Eve, a hot damn angel kidnapped 9 billion people from Earth and teleported them into a dungeon, giving them unique abilities. While others get abilities like super strength or mind control, Ryu ends up with a skill so trashy, it's almost laughable. Well, all his stats are below average, every single one of them, and his unique gift, when he dies, he goes back to the day of New Year's Eve to start all over again. Then, without any unique abilities and with trashy stats, he died countless times, got tortured, betrayed, you name it. Yet, Ryu grits his teeth and drags himself through the hellish floors, one after another, for years. Alone, and finally, after what feels like a lifetime of suffering, he reaches the top floor. However, the journey takes a cruel turn. To proceed to the final level, one must be part of a team of 5. Ryu, ever the loner and still a virgin, doesn't meet the criteria. So once more he dies, this time on his 99th attempt. Yet as fate would have it, the clock resets. It's New Year's Eve, and Ryu finds himself back at the starting point with one last chance to change his destiny. Seeing his hand still trembling, Ryu can't shake off the memory of the unimaginable pain he just went through. He can't believe that he died because he was alone on the last floor. It was almost too much to bear. Frustration kicks in. Clenching his fist and steeling his eyes, he gets ready to give it one more go, one final try. Ryu then yanks off his hoodie, throws it aside, and looks down at the ground. He's deep in thought, thinking about who he could possibly team up with this time around. So guys, today's goal is 2,000 likes. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. Now let's continue. The scene suddenly shifts. Now the spotlight is on this piece of shit, Youngmin, the guy responsible for turning Ryu's life into a complete, living hell. Youngmin and his underlings are all smiles, giddy about the fact that they're about to turn into adults. No more sneaking around with fake IDs to buy alcohol. They're in a chatty mood, talking about the jobs they want in the future. When it's Youngmin's turn, his smile turns darker, more dominating. His buddies ask him what's on his mind for the future. Without missing a beat, Youngmin says he's going to be a gangster. Hearing this, his friends pause. They look concerned, almost freaked out. They tell Youngmin he must be nuts. One bad move in that world, and it's curtains for him. But Youngmin, always the unapologetic jerk, brushes it off. In his view, he's got just this one life to live, so why not live it doing what he enjoys, beating people up? His friends manage a weak laugh, but on the inside, they're pissed off. They're silently labeling him a full-blown psycho. They're also thinking about ditching him for good once they're out of school. Then, to divert the conversation, one of Youngmin's friends asked about what he plans to do with Ryu, referring to him as his errand boy. Youngmin remembered Ryu as a gloomy loser, and with a sinister grin, said he obviously wouldn't let Ryu go. Even after graduating, he would continue to mess with Ryu until he got his fill of enjoyment. Then, one of his friends noticed someone and turned to call Youngmin's attention. He pointed out that he had found Ryu, Youngmin's errand boy. Seeing Ryu, Youngmin became excited, and the countdown for the New Year's Eve began with only 5 seconds remaining. But something unusual happened. A dark aura surrounded Ryu as he removed his hoodie and turned towards Youngmin with a cold, determined look, leaving Youngmin perplexed as he sensed that something was different about Ryu. Youngmin's confusion turned into seething anger as Ryu glared at him. He clenched his fists, ready to beat the crap out of Ryu. However, his friend intervened, suggesting that they let it slide since it was the new year. Just as the bell rang to signal the arrival of the new year, a chilling voice echoed through the area, addressing all the humans as if they were insignificant creatures. This unexpected voice left Youngmin and his friends stunned, wondering where it had come from. From above the sky, the angel descended ever so slowly, dressed in a pristine white gown with enormous wings to match, one eye obscured by a piece of cloth. The angel looked down at the crowd with an amused smile. She commented that watching humans always felt like observing monkeys in a cage. Meanwhile, the crowd below was losing control, some thinking it was an event organized for the new year, while others were taken aback, finding it all too real, and some were already enamored by the angel's beauty, calling her hot and pretty. Ryu, on the other hand, glared up at her. Even though she looked hot, after seeing her for the 99th time, his anger still boiled within him. The angel let out a slight laugh, calling all the humans trash for falling for her beauty. She warned them not to have any naughty thoughts, as she had no intention of mingling with trash like them, and the people just listened to her in utter silence, shocked, with her hand resting on her chin and a look that seemed like she was contemplating something delicious. The angel said that since they all appeared stunned, it must mean they can see and hear her, and so her game should begin. At that moment, a drunken man yelled at the angel, cursing her, questioning her cosplay, and even calling her a bitch. Ryu, upon hearing, felt a sense of pity for the man. In the next instant, the angel's warm, inviting smile twisted into a horrifying, deathly glare. Her eyes glowed a menacing red, her expression became scary, and with just a simple flick of her finger, the man's head popped like a bubble, splattering blood all around. The crowd, now truly horrified, erupted into chaos, scattering in every direction. Continuing with her terrifying aura, the angel pointed her finger at the crowd. She spoke in a chilling tone. "How dare a lowly human speak informally with my mighty self?" Then, as if switching a button, her aura returned to its previous kind state. She spoke politely but firmly, warning the crowd that they had no right to question her if they didn't want their heads to explode like that unfortunate man. Panic began to wash over the crowd like a tidal wave. She began to explain what they had to do and what this game was all about. Ryu, on the other hand, remained frustrated as he had to listen to her once again. With a warm smile and a kind aura, she extended her hand forward and stated that they would have to play a simple game. This game would consist of 20 rounds and would start on the 1st of every month. Their souls would be transported to another world, and after clearing each round, they could return to Earth. It sounded simple enough. Hearing this, the crowd was confused, thinking they could live just by playing a simple game. Even Youngman was a bit panicked. Then, the angel dropped another bombshell, saying, "Who said all humans will live? Even if they complete the quests, only half of the participants will survive." She then proudly declared how kind she was for sparing half of them, and Ryu just stared at her, not uttering a single word. Then, the angel let slip another piece of shocking information, that she wouldn't be taking all the humans. With a naughty smile, she explained that she would only take humans between the ages of 15 to 29. Upon hearing this, one man got incredibly happy, making strange faces and shouting that he was saved and wouldn't have to die. Another young man grabbed the old man's collar in frustration, and they began to fight. Panicked, Youngman stepped in to stop them, warning them to remember what happened to the guy who had shouted, his head popping like a bubble. The angel turned around and began counting. After some time, she declared that a total of 1.8 billion humans were present. With a warm smile, she flicked her fingers, and in the next moment, Ryu found himself in a room surrounded by nothing but whiteness. The angel started to explain that in this place, the participants could create a physical body exactly as they wanted, and their souls would be transferred into that body. Standing in front of a mirror, Ryu instantly created a character without much thought, using the body from his previous regression. He chose the nickname Black Scythe. A bright light covered his eyes, and in the next moment, a beautiful field appeared, filled with lush greenery, forests, and mountains. Ryu, with his badass character, magically appeared here with jet black hair and piercing red eyes. Clenching his fist, he mused how using this body so many times had made it feel almost like his real one. Slowly, other participants began to appear in the landscape. Their faces showed fear, panic, and in some cases, awe at their own transformation. Some had chosen appearances resembling famous movie stars or strikingly good-looking personas. Ryu looked at them and thought back to his own initial choices. He remembered that he too had first opted for a flashy, handsome appearance, but that had drawn too much attention, and because of that, he died pathetically. So now, he chose to keep it as simple as possible, avoiding unnecessary attention. Then Ryu's eyes shifted toward Youngman, that piece of work who always made life miserable for him. In this new world, Youngman looked pretty much like his real-world self, just taller and more muscular. He walked with a proud smile and eyes that sparkled. Ryu couldn't help but flash a grin mixed with sweat, noting that Youngman, true to form, had buffed up his character again. Then the angel congratulated everyone on crafting their desired bodies, mentioning how their fearful expressions delighted her. One man dared to ask, saying, "It doesn't seem like 1.8 billion people are here. Is there an error?" Hearing this laughingly, the angel replied, addressing humans as inferior, and she shouted, saying, Did she give them permission to speak? She stated that there were many angels taking care of small groups, and it was none of their business. She warned that if anyone spoke without her permission, she would pop their head like a bubble. Saying this, she started the quest. Then she commanded all the humans to say, "Status window." And as they did, a status window appeared in front of them. Just like always, Ryu's stats were trash, with his strength, intelligence, agility, and luck all at 3, without any normal or skill. The angel continued, saying, "Now that everyone has opened their status window and got familiar with this system, specially designed like a game for trash humans to understand easily," she gave an evil smile and extended her hand forward. She announced that if they increased their levels and cleared the 20 rounds, they would be granted a wish, and they could wish for anything they wanted. Hearing this, everyone, including young men, got stunned. Then, with an amused smile, she announced that now she would give everyone their unique skill. In front of them, a crystal appeared, and when they broke the crystal, they got their unique skill. As young Min broke his crystal, he was shocked, and then the angel said, "Since all of them received their unique skill, let the game begin." With a flick of her finger, a notification appeared in front of everyone, instructing them to kill 100 goblins to survive this round. And just like that, a goblin appeared in front of them. The sight of the goblin approaching them with a dagger sent shivers down the participants' spines. Just when they thought things couldn't get worse, the angel had another surprise. Spreading her legs, spreading her hands wide, she summoned a whole army of goblins, amplifying the panic among the participants. The angel couldn't be happier, her mischievous smile reflecting her delight at the prospect of a life-or-death battle between 10,000 humans and 50,000 goblins. Suddenly, a goblin charged at the crowd. The tension was palpable. But then, to everyone's surprise, Ryu stepped forward, unarmed. As he advanced towards the charging goblin, murmurs rippled through the crowd. Everyone tried to warn him, claiming it was too dangerous. However, Ryu seemed to have a different plan in mind. With remarkable force, he delivered a powerful kick, sending the goblin flying backward and shocking the entire crowd. He changed his plans and decided to show his full power to the crowd, as it was part of his future plans. Picking up the goblin's dagger, Ryu fixed his gaze upon the angel, determined to capture her attention. Then, as 2 more goblins charged at him, Ryu got ready with his dagger. In a flash, both were slain. Again, all the people were shocked, saying how cool Ryu was. Then one person started to say that these goblins might be weak, and they too could easily kill them, believing it was not a big deal. But before he could finish their sentence, a goblin jumped at them, grinning, and stabbed them to death. Witnessing this, everyone panicked and started to run. Meanwhile, Ryu effortlessly continued to eliminate the goblins. As they witnessed the horrifying scene of goblins mercilessly killing humans, Ryu knew that now there would be only one thing on the minds of these people: survival. Some might try to run, but the area was protected by a barrier, so escape was impossible. Others might hesitate to kill a living being, but in order to survive, they had no choice but to fight or be killed. Ryu explained how he had once been like them, but after going through this round 99 times, despite being weak, he knew all the movements and weaknesses of the goblins like the back of his hand, making it easy for him to kill them. Watching the scene unfold from above, the angel was having a ball. She was genuinely enjoying the chaos of goblins and humans fighting each other. With a smirk, she commented on how the humans, who she referred to as monkeys, were struggling against the goblin. Even though the goblins had smaller, weaker bodies, when they were armed with daggers, they seemed to have the upper hand. However, her gaze eventually landed on Ryu, who was tearing through the goblins like a whirlwind. She took note of his nickname, Black Scythe, and realized he had already taken down 70 goblins in a short span. A hint of annoyance crossed her face. Ryu's dominance was ruining her entertainment. But, shrugging it off, she said to herself, it can't be helped, and shifted her focus to watch other humans fight for their lives. Ryu, on the other hand, continued his onslaught, becoming a one-man killing machine. The goblins started to fear him. Seizing the moment, Ryu checked his status window. He had leveled up to 4 and had 6 stat points to allocate. Without hesitation, he dumped all his points into agility, explaining that agility not only boosts dodging ability, but also impacts attack and movement speed. At the start, agility's the real MVP, Ryu thought. Looking at his dagger, Ryu said out loud, "This should get that pesky angel's attention." With a swift throw, his dagger found its mark, embedding itself in a goblin's head. With his arm still outstretched from the throw, he confidently declared his intent to wipe out all the goblins that day. The goblins shivered in fear, sensing the resolve in his voice. Ryu, not missing a beat, got back to work, and in no